Good day, everybody. I hope that you are well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 5 English lesson on logical transitions. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username, as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. Grade 5. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of logical transition. All right, so our chapter is logical transition. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 5. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of logical transition it is to choose the best transition. Right? So that is going to be our sorry. All right. So now when it comes to logical transitions, right? When you're writing, we need to use transitions to help the reader understand how two ideas connect to one another. Because remember, it's not just about writing and then you're going on and on and on. Your ideas need to connect to one another. And as a reader, right, we need to be able to see and understand how your two ideas that you have, how it is connected or how it's being connected to one another or to each other. And different transitions have different purposes. And we are going to look at the different words that we can use to show how two ideas connect to one another, right? All right. So when it comes to our purpose transition, right? To show the order of events. So if you, for example, want to show the order of events, right? And now you're going to show the one idea to the other idea, but you're showing order of events, right? And you're showing order of events in time. Sorry. Then we can use words like first, next, later, finally, afterwards, or firstly, secondly, finally, right? That's words that we can use to show the order of events in time. So, firstly, da da da. Later, because now we know, this happened. So, later on, something else happened. Finally, because you're not telling a story. So, we see how your ideas are flowing. It's connecting from one idea to the other idea by using our transition words or your different transition words. And your different transition words have different purposes. Then, if you want to show the cause and you want to show the effect, if you want to show cause and effect, right, then you can use words like therefore. So you so we are moving from one idea to the other. So now full stop, therefore, and then you talk about whatever that's going to happen, the cause of this, the effect thereof. For this reason, now I'm feeling this way, right? As a result of the situation that we just spoke about, and then you make mentions of something, right? And that is when we show cause and we show effect within our writing. If we want to, for example, add a new example, or we want to add a new idea within our sentence or within our writing. So if we want to add a new example or we want to show a new idea, remember we are writing and our ideas needs to connect to one another. It needs to flow. You can't just write, and now we're trying to figure, hey, but this person was here, and now this person is there, and something is just not making sense. But your transition words or transitional words will be able to show us or give us an idea of how your two ideas or how your sentences are connecting to one another. So if you want to add a new example or you want to add a new idea to your writing, you can use words like also, because you're writing. So also, for example, addition. In addition can also be used if you want to add something, right? So that is how we use when we add a new example or we're adding a new idea. So if you're adding a new idea in addition to, so you already made mention of the one idea. So in addition to that one idea, meaning I'm adding another idea, and then you state whatever your idea is. If you're adding more examples, then you state, or if you have your idea and now you're adding an example, you write your idea and you're like, for example, and you give an example of that idea or what you have just made mention of. And it is also very good to be writing examples or to give examples because then people will be able to clearly see what you actually mean. All right. And then if we want to show contrast or we want to show the differences, right, with your ideas or differences in ideas or of ideas, then we can use words like however. So you're showing your idea, but now, however, and you're telling us what your idea is. You can also use words like otherwise, and this is when we are either showing a difference or we are contrasting. Or we can say, on the other hand. That is to show contrast or to show the difference. Or still. Because remember also how you write, most times how we write, we actually supposed to be speaking or talking. And we get marked down for writing because we want to write exactly like we speak or how we talk. And then if we want to compare or we want to show similarities between ideas, right? We can use words like similarly. So similarly to and you make mention of that idea, and now you give us another idea that is similar to that because you're comparing ideas now. Likewise, which will give us the idea that this one is now going to be similar to the other one, or in the same way as my previous idea, and then you make mention of it. And then if we want to put emphasis on, on an idea, if you want to state a point, right? So if you want to really make a point or you want to emphasize on something, and then you can use words like truly. especially, in fact, because now you bring emphasis on it, or to repeat. So these are words that you can use to show transition. And literally all of the words that we make mention of, it shows the words that we can use to show transition as well as the purpose of the transitions, right? And these are the things that will basically help you to better your writing, because when you're writing, you need to use transitions to help the reader to understand how the two ideas connect to one another, right? Yes, especially and repeat. Because we need to show how two ideas connect to one another. Because if you're just going to write and write, let's say, for example, we say write a descriptive essay of your vacation, right? And you are just talking about your vacation, you're talking about being here and then moving to then going to a different state for the vacation, and then from there to there, and you're talking about going to the amusement park, and then if you are not going to show your the transition words, right? If you're not going to show the transitions, we will not understand how your one idea connect to the other idea. We will not even understand how you got from being at home to being in Europe. We won't know how you got from being at home to being at Disney World, from Disney World to somewhere else, because you are not showing the proper transitional words. Your ideas and sentences are not connecting to one another. But if you use these transition words and you use it correctly, we'll be able to see how you show similarities, how you show differences, what the effects there was or the cause there was. Why did you not like traveling from one place to the other, right? If you show the events in order, firstly we went to and then we went to going to have lunch at wherever. Later we went to going to have dinner. Finally, we took a walk by the lake. That shows transitions instead of just, for example, writing and writing and writing, and your ideas do not connect to one another, right? So our ideas need to connect to one another, and it will be able to connect to one another by using transitional words, and that will help the readers to understand how your ideas connect to one another, right? And if you use the transition between two sentences, I'm going to show you now. So to use transition right between two sentences, you need to think about how the sentences are connected. Am I comparing something? Am I showing the difference? Am I trying to show the cause and effect of something? Am I trying to add events or show the order of events? Are we trying to see the similarities between something, or am I trying to put emphasis on specific sentences? Like a paragraph, yes. Because if you're writing a paragraph, right, your sentences needs to connect to one another. Or even if you're writing an essay, right, sometimes we get it wrong when we are moving from one paragraph to the other paragraph, but definitely within a paragraph. So well done. So like a paragraph, then your sentences need to basically it needs to connect to one another, right? That is why sometimes we will wonder, why did I get low marks for an essay that is my ideas? Like, I don't even think my teacher knows what happened on my vacation, but I'm getting low marks for it. It is the way you're writing. So it's not about the information that is on there, right? It's not even about all of the things that you did on your vacation, if that was the topic of it or the heading of it. But it's the way we see it, your ideas connecting from one idea to the other, right? So, yes, that is so true. It is like a paragraph, but you need to show your ideas and how it connects. Because your one sentence needs to connect to the other sentence, needs to connect to the next sentence, right? So, well done. Good question, or good answer, or statement or response. So you need to show or choose the best transition that best shows the connection. And that is why I said, based on whatever that you are writing, am I trying to show the order of events? Because if you're talking about your vacation, now you're first making mention of your vacation. Now, after that, right, you are now going to tell us all the things that you did during your vacation. And that means you're going to show us the order of events. So you're going to, of course, use words like first and next and later and finally and afterwards. Those are words that you are going to use because now we are going to see that, okay, you are telling us all the things that you did. First, we went here. Afterwards, right? So you need to then choose the best transition that best shows the connection. And it will depend on whatever you are discussing or telling us or talking about within your writing. And if we look at an example, right, it says Jason made more free throws this season than any other player. As a result, he was voted most valuable player. I specifically underlined as a result. And if we look at as a result, right, here we find as a result, it's either showing cause or effect. And if we look at that sentence, the sentence says Jason made more free throws this season than any other player. If you put in effort, right, in your schoolwork or in a sport or in something that you're doing, an extramural activity, right? You're putting in the effort, you are studying even more, you're studying harder, right? So now, as a result of your studying, or as a result of your practicing, or as a result of you, playing your instrument even more, right? Now, the effects thereof is that you're going to be rewarded, right? That is correct. If you are showing the order of events, you can use firstly, secondly, thirdly, lastly, and so on. Not end, right? Unless you're just going to say, just say rather finally, right? So if we look once again at Jason's sentence, Jason made more free throws this season than any other player. As a result, meaning the effects of him making more free throws, he was voted the most valuable player. So, do you see that sentence, right? And do you see how we use the word disconnecting transition, or let's say how we use the transition to connect these two ideas? It tells us what he did, and now it tells us what he gained from what he did, what the effect was of all the free throws or the more free throws that he had this season. He was now voted the most valuable player. So now we see the transition taking place, right? And there we have, as a result, is a transition that shows the effects of Jason's free throws that he had this season. Exactly. So he became now most valuable player, or he became a great player because of all the free throws. or if he had he won all the free kicks, or he scored the most, depending, exactly became the best player of the team, right? So well done. So do we have an idea of transitions and how to use transitions so far? Do I need to go over transitional words again? All right. So once again, before we go on to aplusstudents.ca, and then we're going to do our test, when you are writing, you need to use transitions to help the reader understand how your two ideas connect to one another. And our different transitions have different purposes, right? All right. So now let's go to aplusstudents.ca. We're going to choose the best transition. All right. And then we're going to our test. And just before I go to the test, I'm just going to go over the purpose of transitions again. We're going to do an activity, and then we are going to our test. Sorry. All right. So now, once again, we're going to look at the transition words and the purposes of transitions, and then we're going to our activity. So to show the order of events, right? So to show the order of events, we use words like first, secondly, next, later, finally, afterwards. To show the cause and effect of something, therefore, for this reason, as a result of. If we want to add a new example or we want to add a new idea, we use words like also, for example, in addition. If you want to, oopsie, if you want to show contrast or show the differences between your ideas, you can use words like however, otherwise, on the other hand, or still. To compare ideas or to show similarities between ideas, we can use words like similarly, likewise, in the same way. And to emphasize a point, we can use words like truly, especially, in fact, or to repeat. All right, so now we're going to look at a few activities and then we're going to our test. And remember, keeping in mind when you're writing, you need to use transitions to help the reader to understand how ideas connect to one another. And different transitions have different purposes. All right, so now look at this example or this activity. It says Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights. She wanted women to have the right to vote. She was arrested for voting in 1872 and put on trial. Anthony was fined $100 for her crime, right? And if we were to look at the sentence again, it says Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights. She wanted women to have the right to vote, right? We need to choose a word that is going to connect that sentence. Yeah, we need to put a word over here. It says Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights. Do we say, you see here we have this thingy, we need to add a word, right? A transition. So it says Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights. Do we say on the other hand, or do we say specially or specifically, sorry, specifically. So do we say Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights? On the other hand, she wanted women to have the right to vote. Or do we say Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights specifically as she wanted women to have the right to vote? Which one is correct? On the other hand, option one, or specifically option two? Yes, she's an American activist. Look at what on the other hand means. It says she fought for women's rights, right? On the other hand, she wanted women to have the rights to vote. Or do we say specifically she wanted women to have the right to vote? Look at that again. If we use the word on the other hand, it means that we are either showing, it's like we are showing contrast, right? Or we're showing difference. Is there a difference that she's showing? If we say, on the other hand, is she showing a difference? Is there a difference between what she's saying and what she wants to do? Or if we say specifically, it means that we are putting emphasis. So which one is correct? We're putting emphasis, or are we trying to show the difference? All right, so we will say option two, right? So, because now we're putting emphasis on it, because we're saying Susan B. Anthony fought for women's rights. Specifically, she wanted women to have the right to vote, right? And that is why she basically fought for the rights of women. And if you put emphasis on it, that is why they're saying she was even arrested for standing for what she want women to do. Right? No problem. Well done. Option two is correct. So specifically is our answer. Right? All right. Sorry. Here it says we need to show a transition that contrasts or show differences. That contrasts or show differences, right? I'm gonna go but down to a yeah. Here they it contrasts or shows differences, right? So you can look at that word that is in bold, right? And then I'm going to read the text or the sentences, and then you can choose one of those words to show or to connect the ideas. It says, there's a great new restaurant we could go to, right? So there's a great new restaurant we can go to. Now we need to choose something. Cooking at home would save us money. So do we say, on the other hand, cooking at home would save us money? Or do we say, in fact, cooking at home would save us money? We need to show difference or show contrast. If you look at these words here at the bottom that is in gray, choose one of those words that we are going to add to show transition. All right. And if we would if we were to choose the correct one to show either the contrast or to show a difference, then it says there's a great new restaurant we could go to, meaning I want to go to the restaurant. But on the other hand, on the other hand, cooking at home would actually save us more money. So well done. On the other hand is correct. That either shows contrast or shows the difference between eating out and rather going home and cooking the food that is in the fridge. Right? So well done. On the other hand is correct. All right, let's go to our test. We need to show the transition that either contrasts or shows differences. Do we say, or look at the sentence, it says, there's a great new restaurant we could go to. Cooking at home would save us money. Do we say option one, on the other hand, cooking at home would save us money? Or option two, in fact, cooking at home would save us money? Option one or option two? Which one is correct? All right, and if we choose the correct option, then yes, we say show contrast or to show the difference. We say there's a new restaurant we could go to. On the other hand, cooking at home would save us money. Option one. So well done. We need to choose the transition that emphasizes a point. Emphasize a point, right? It says Ezra tries to avoid eating meals that are not good for him? Do we say option one, still he mostly eats food from his from his vegetable garden or a nearby farm? Or do we say, in fact, he mostly eats food from his vegetable garden or nearby farm? We need to choose a word or transitional word that emphasizes a point. Is it still or is it in fact? Option one, still, or option two, in fact. And if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, Ezra tries to avoid eating meals that are not good for him. In fact, option two, he mostly eats food from his vegetable garden or a nearby farm. Well done. In fact is correct. Elena enjoys the Jackson Pollock exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. We need to show contrast or show difference, right? Do we say otherwise she's not especially interested in modern art? Finally, she is not interested in modern art. Which one is correct? We need to show contrast or show difference. It says Elena enjoyed the Jackson Pollock exhibition at the Museum of Modern Arts in New York. Otherwise, she is not especially interested in modern art. Or do we say, finally, she is not interested in modern art? Needs to show contrast, or we need to show difference. Remember, if we say finally, right? Remember, if we say finally, then we are showing almost like order of events, like first, secondly, later, finally. That is an order of event. Are they showing an order of event, or are they contrasting or showing difference? Finally is a word used to show order of events, like first, secondly, later, finally. That's the order of events. The question is, are we showing order of events? It says we need to show contrast or show difference. Is finally a word used to show contrast or to show difference? And if we were to choose the correct option, then we will say option one. Otherwise is a word that is being used to show contrast, to show difference. Finally is a word that is being used to show the order of events. So option one is correct. Right? So option one, well done. That is why you see that is why I said look at the word. If it says show a new example, show an idea, it says choose. Oh, okay, guys, that is actually the end of our lesson because it is now 47. This is the end of our lesson on transition or logical transitions, right? Remember, we said logical transitions is when you show, for example, um, because in writing, you need to use transitions to help the reader understand how two ideas connect to one another. And we use transitional words and we need to look at its purposes in order for us to know which word to use. If we are contrasting, if we are showing order of events, if we're comparing, showing similarities, or if we're showing comparisons or stating a point. All right, no problem. Guys, thank you very much for your answers, for your interactions. I really appreciate it. But this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope that you're going to have an amazing evening further. So, till next time, goodbye.